Number 7, according to the prophecy, what drastic change will take place in America? It says he spoke like a dragon. Started out with 2 horns like a lamb, but ends up speaking like a dragon. Lamb good, dragon bad. We all together? I love my country. The reason it grew the way it did is God blessed America because they gave freedom to people. It used to say, I guess it still says it on our currency, give them time. They're trying to take it off our currency. In God we trust. It used to say one nation under God. Most places still say that. You know there's people fighting against that. See, I don't think there's any problem with saying that we are a religious people. I don't think there's anything problem with saying that we are a Judeo-Christian culture. We believe the 10 Commandments. We will require that the government supports the last 6. People get to choose how they keep the first 4, what God it is. But we're getting away from even the morality of the last 6, aren't we? We're telling people, well, we're doing the exact opposite of what God tells us we should do. It says he speaks like a dragon. We're already seeing that. How does a country speak? A nation speaks through its legislative body. You know, you just can't get over some of the things you saw happen just a few months ago. This historic trip of Pope Francis to the United States, there was no important place, significant place that he missed. He went to the White House, spoke to our greatest august body, Congress, the senators, everybody, standing ovation. Would they do that for a pastor? Goes to the United Nations, goes to Philadelphia where our government was founded, goes to New York City. By the way, do you know where George Washington was sworn in? It wasn't Washington, D.C. New York City was the first capital of the U.S. Did you know that? It's financial capital, advertising capital of the world. It was all and went to the 9/11 memorial, had a joint religious service at the 9/11 memorial showing solidarity with the United States against what brought about 9/11. Wasn't it some of this war on worship? Nobody wants to say that, but we all know it was religious zealots that did this, that were ready to die for what they believed, crazy as it was. And so what you're seeing happening is a hand being reached across the Atlantic, both ways, to build some solidarity. Just a footnote that you may be interested in, if you think I'm dreaming this up. There was a time, if you go back about 50 years ago, every member of the Supreme Court was a Protestant. Systematically, one by one, they have either been replaced by attrition or design, and now there are no Protestants on the Supreme Court. There are Catholics, the majority Catholics. Anthony Scalia, good judge, he just passed away. The new suggestion that our president is giving is another Catholic. Oh, no, he's actually Jewish. And the other 3 are Jewish. No Protestants anymore. And so that perspective is kind of being left off the bench. And he says to them that dwell on the earth, Revelation 13:4, they should make an image to the beast that had the wound with the sword and yet did live. Now, what does that mean? It means that what the beast was doing during that 1,260 years of using civil power to force religion is going to happen again. There are going to be religious laws that will go against the law of God, and every child of God is going to have to make a decision, do you obey God or man? Who is going to be first in your life? And the decision Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego had to make, and Daniel had to make, whether he was going to go to the lion's den or compromise his faith, every believer is going to have to make. You know what I think it's going to revolve around? Boy, this is quite a picture. And of course, you have just the red carpet was rolled out. Then you've got the Pope and Obama. You got the U.S. flag in this next slide, and the papal flag, the Vatican flag, flying in front of our obelisk, a little bigger than their obelisk that you got in front of the Vatican. Boy, that just says volumes, doesn't it? If I was the devil, let me tell you what I'd do. Now, don't misunderstand, I'm not. But if I was, I hope not. If the idea is to try to get God's people to break the law of God, doesn't the devil want us to sin? The Bible says he's come down with great wrath because his time is short. He wants to get us to sin. And, in Daniel chapter 3, he tried to get them to break the law about idolatry. Doesn't matter which one, because if you break one, you're guilty of all. James? In Daniel chapter 6, it was the law, the first commandment, don't have other gods. And since it's going to be something that deals with times and laws, the beast power would think to change times and laws. The only commandment that fits into all those categories related to worship, a time, and a law is the Sabbath. I would say, you know what? I'm going to tell them, keep all 10 commandments. But on that fourth commandment that has the name of God, where it says keep the seventh day holy, I don't want you to keep the day of God holy. I want you to keep the day of man holy. And I'm going to give you a new commandment. Instead of worshiping on the seventh day, worship the first day. What difference does one day make? And it is such a subtle, small thing that most of the world's going to say, in the sake of unity, sure, why not? We all need to make little compromises for unity. Would Daniel compromise his conviction? Did Mordecai compromise his convictions? Did Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego compromise their convictions? And we mustn't either. God means what he says. And when God says the seventh day, no man has a right to change a thus saith the Lord. Amen? Now that tells us what's coming. These three powers will unite against God's people in the end time. And it says in Revelation 16, verse 13, I saw three unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. Now, where's a frog's power? No one's ever been scratched by a frog. They catch them with their tongue. Out of the mouth means the words. It says in Revelation 14, there are three angels with messages from God that go to the world. Here you've got almost the counterfeit of that, three frogs. That was a plague in Egypt. They're unclean animals. They eat bugs. And it's talking about demonic voices, untruth coming out of their mouths. But what do? They go forth to the kings of the earth. And that's actually our next question.